Do you ever feel like when you go to play a drum solo, your body just can't keep up with the ideas in your head? Maybe you feel off balance or lose the beat entirely. Well, what if I told you there are 3 key skills that directly affect your ability to flow, and they're often the difference between frustration and freedom? In today's video, I'll break down exactly what these skills are and show you how to start working on them so you can unlock more flow, more freedom, and express the ideas you want on the drums. Let's dive in. The first skill is drum set technique. This is a foundational area of playing that includes things like how to hold the sticks, hand techniques, foot techniques, and playing in a relaxed and controlled way. You might have an idea in the moment, but when you go to play it, it doesn't sound the way you wanted it to. This is why it's important to work on technique, and I really try to think of it in this way. Rather than a boring or mundane thing to practice, technique is a tool that removes the obstacles blocking you from playing the ideas in your head. An example of this might be you're building a drum solo, the band is building behind you, and you want to go from, say, 8th note ideas to 16th notes to keep the energy building. But you can't play 16ths at this BPM, so you go for it, but don't quite execute it cleanly. The band might slow down to meet you, or if you're performing with strong musicians, you might get left behind, throwing you off time and ruining the flow of your solo. So, to work on this, we want to practice exercises that gradually build speed and control. There are tons of techniques to work on: singles, doubles, molar, throw and catch, finger technique, heels down, heels up, slide technique, control strokes, and more. So it can be overwhelming. But it's very important to pick one technique at a time and work on it slowly and thoroughly so you're inputting good information to your muscle memory. For example, let's pick rebound strokes, as I just did a video on the control strokes recently. So I would play rebound strokes nice and slowly and go through this checklist. Am I relaxed? Is the stick doing what I want it to do? And is the motion in time? Using a mirror can really help us, as it gives you a third-person perspective, so you'll catch things that you might miss by just looking down at your hands. Once the technique feels comfortable, add in the metronome. Start super slow, nailing each beat with full control. Slowly increase the speed until you can perform that technique at your goal tempo. Bonus tip: recording yourself at various BPMs can be a great tool to check you're happy with how everything looks, sounds, and feels. Using the slow motion function on a smartphone is a great way to do this. Once you reach your desired goal, move on to the next technique using the same process. Technique is a never-ending pursuit, but let your next goal, song, or solo guide you as to what you should work on next. The next skill is coordination. This is the lining up of our limbs. If your limbs don't line up, it can sound clunky or throw you off balance, and that breaks our flow. Just like we did with technique, we want to slowly remove these coordination limitations so we can play smoothly and continuously around the drums. To work on coordination, pick a goal. For example, soloing using 16th notes over quarter notes with the left foot on the hi-hat. So I would start with just the hands and target each 16th note. First the downbeats, then the E's, ands, and R's of each beat. I recommend starting without a metronome and walking through each one slowly to get the feeling. It's okay if it's not 100% in time, as we're going to tighten that up in the next step. Once that's comfortable, add in the metronome. I prefer turning the 16th setting on so I can really lock in with grid. Loop each targeted rhythm until it feels solid, then move on to the next. Once you can play each one 10 to 20 times in a row, increase the tempo by 4 or 5 BPM, rinse and repeat until you reach your goal tempo. A bonus tip: once you're able to play the rhythms individually, you can have a go improvising with the ideas you just worked on and apply them in a musical situation. Use these same principles when working on grooves. Walk through the coordination, then add the metronome. When you can play the beat 10 to 20 times cleanly, bump up the tempo. You can apply this to grooves, solos, or just pick a fill and focus on making sure that any limbs you play together are lining up cleanly and you feel stable and comfortable. The third skill is timing, which is the ability to keep a consistent beat no matter what you're playing. A lot of drummers have solid groove, but when it comes to fills or solos, their time feel becomes less stable. More often than not, drummers rush when they go to do a fill or when they solo. It can be due to excitement causing us to rush, but I also think it's because we spend so much time practicing grooves, since that's what we're usually hired for, that solos or fills don't always get the same amount of practice time. To work on this, we're going to use our trusty friend, the metronome. Let's use the example of fills rushing. So I would practice a bar of groove followed by a fill, focusing on staying locked into the click. Start with the quarter note setting on the metronome. Once that's feeling solid, you can add in 16ths for further tightening. A bonus tip, once these are feeling comfortable, you can program the metronome to give you less beats. For example, only having the click on beats 2 and 4, which forces you to provide the time for beats 1 and 3. Here, you can think of the metronome like training wheels for a bike. At first, you need all 4 beats to build a reference point. But once you're comfortable, we can take the training wheels off by reducing the help you're getting from the click. If you fall out of time, no worries. Reassess why, make adjustments, and go again. This is great for ironing out timing inconsistencies in your playing. If you find that you're consistently getting out of time with the less click exercise, you might just need to spend a little more time on the full quarter note version first. Strengthen that first, and then come back and try the next metronome exercise. So these 3 areas are great to consistently work on to improve your flow and fluidity on the drums. A pro tip is to record your gigs, performances, or practice sessions. Listen back and find the areas that need the most work. Maybe your coordination is great, but you wish you could have played that 30-second note snare build-up in your solo. Well, then your next practice session, work on your singles and make that your goal. I still work on all of these areas, and remember, it's a never-ending journey. But if you keep putting in the work, you'll see great results in no time. If you're looking for a couple more ways to work on coordination, then check out this video here on how to do that.